I'm here to interview Adrian Houston, tax consultant, on the question of offshore money. Adrian, tell me about your background, please.
Well, Bill, I was a tax inspector in a former life working for what was then the Inland Revenue, and then I set up Houston & Co Tax Consultants with my wife, who was also a tax inspector. She's called Felicity Houston, and we now try to help people as much as possible.
What have the tax people announced about offshore money?
What they've announced is what I would call an amnesty. They've announced a simplified procedure for people to declare some money or assets offshore on which they didn't pay enough UK tax.
Did they have something like this a few years ago?
Yes, you're right. Back in 2007, the Revenue had what they then called the Offshore Disclosure Facility. They've now called this new one the New Disclosure Opportunity, but it's basically a second chance for people to declare this offshore money or offshore asset. But the Revenue have said this is the last chance. After this, they're seeking information from about 300 banks, and they've said that they will aim to investigate anyone who doesn't come forward at the moment.
Who needs to be concerned about this?
Anyone who has or had offshore bank interest or other assets that there wasn't enough UK tax paid on. For instance, it could be a rental property in Spain or France, even if they think they're not making much money at it. Or it could be an asset offshore which was bought with money that didn't see the light of tax at the time. Any of those people can use this as a chance to clear the air and pay back their tax going back 20 years.
Would this apply even if they had closed the account some years ago?
Yes, the important thing to remember is that the Revenue is now going after the information from hundreds of banks. And by the time this disclosure opportunity is closed, the Revenue will be getting this information, and they will simply compare the information they're getting from the banks with the lists of people who've come forward. And if you haven't come forward, you're pretty much guaranteed a tax investigation.
Briefly, can you tell me how it works, please?
Yes, at its simplest, you have to register with the Revenue to avail of the opportunity. That can be done online or on paper. It can be done by your accountant, someone like myself, or by you. And to do this, you have to do that registration by the 30th of November 2009.
That's the first of the deadlines.
That's the first deadline. The next deadline is the main deadline for submitting the full disclosure and paying all the tax, which is the end of January. There's a further deadline in March, but I think we should all aim to work to the January deadline if we can, because to go to March means the Revenue will charge you interest for a wee bit longer.
Oh my goodness. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.